All right, so welcome to Macbeth Act III. This is the climax of the play. That's not to say that nothing interesting happens after this scene, but this is clearly the most interesting portion. If I'm going to draw you a plot pyramid here, we have the Act 1, which is primarily exposition. We have Act 2, which is the killing of the king, definitely a rising action. And then we're going to have Act 3. Macbeth is going to do something that really changes his personality. After this, we still have several interesting events, but not quite as interesting. Then we have our falling action. Remember, this is a tragedy, so we have a tragic hero, Macbeth, with a tragic flaw. Hopefully you start to have an understanding of what that flaw is, but here we'll really see it come to fruition. All right, so let's get started with Macbeth, Act 3, Scene 1.
Thou hast it now. King, Corder, Glamis, all, as the weird women promised. And I fear thou playedst most foully fought. Yet it was said it should not stand in thy posterity, but that myself should be the root and father of many kings. If there come truth from them, as upon thee, Macbeth, their speeches shine, why, by the verities on thee made good, may they not be my oracles as well, and set me up in hope? But hush no more.
Here's our chief guest.
If he had been forgotten, it had been as a gap in our great feast, and all thing unbecoming.
Tonight we hold a solemn supper, sir, and I'll request your presence.
Let your highness command upon thee, to the which my duties are with a most indissoluble tie for ever knit.
Ride you this afternoon?
Aye, my good lord.
We should have else desired your good advice, which still hath been both grave and prosperous in this day's council, but we'll take tomorrow, as far you ride.
As far, my lord, as 'twill fill up the time twixt this and supper. Go not my horse the better, I must become a borrower of the night for a dark hour or twain.
Fail not our feast.
My lord, I will not.
This part is interesting to remember. Macbeth tells Banquo that he should not fail to be at the feast, and yet, as the audience, we know that Macbeth's probably going to kill Banquo at this point. But, well, you'll see what happens when we get to the feast.
We hear our bloody cousins are bestowed in England and in Ireland, not confessing their cruel parricide, filling their hearers with strange invention. But of that tomorrow, when therewithal we shall have cause of state craving us jointly. Hie you to horse. Adieu, till you return at night. Goes Fleance with you?
In this section, Macbeth is talking about In this section, Macbeth is talking about Malcolm and Donalbain, who left in the last scene and are now accused of killing their father. It's not exactly clear if you haven't just seen that act.
Aye, my good lord. Our time does call upon us.
I wish your horses swift and sure of foot, and so I do commend you to their backs. Farewell. Let every man be master of his time till 7 at night. To make society the sweeter welcome, we will keep ourself till supper time alone. Well then, God be with you. Sirrah, a word with you. Attend those men our pleasure.
They are, my lord, without the palace gate.
Bring them before us.
To be thus is nothing, but to be safely thus. Our fears in Banquo stick deep, and in his royalty of nature reigns that which would be feared. 'Tis much he dares, and to that dauntless temper of his mind he hath a wisdom that doth guide his valour to act in safety. There is none but he, whose being I do fear, and under him my genius is rebuked, as it is said Mark Antony's was by Caesar.
So in this section, Macbeth does a couple things. Number one, he admits that to be thus is nothing but to be safely thus. In other words, it doesn't matter what you have if it can't last. And he knows that the prediction that the witches made will make Banquo's children kings, even though Macbeth is king now. So somehow Macbeth is going to lose this power, or somehow his children aren't going to gain this power. Macbeth also makes a couple comments. He says his genius is rebuked under Banquo. This seems to indicate that Macbeth is aware Banquo is a nicer person, a greater leader than he is, and perhaps more deserved to be king. That makes him fear him even more.
He chid the sisters when first they put the name of king upon me, and bade them speak to him. Then, prophet-like, they hailed him father to a line of kings. Upon my head they placed a fruitless crown, and put a barren sceptre in my gripe, thence to be wrenched with an unlineal hand, no son of mine succeeding. If it be so, for Banquo's issue have I filed my mind. For them the gracious Duncan have I murdered, put rancours in the vessel of my peace, only for them, and mine eternal jewel given to the common enemy of man, to make them kings, the seeds of Banquo kings. Rather than so, come fate into the list, and champion me to the utterance. Who's there? Now go to the door and stay there till we call. Was it not yesterday we spoke together?
It was, so please your highness.
Well then, now, have you considered of my speeches? Know that it was he in the times past which held you so under fortune, which you thought had been our innocent self. This I made good to you in our last conference, passed in probation with you, how you were borne in hand, how crossed, the instruments, who wrought with them, and all things else that might to half a soul and to a notion crazed say, thus did Banquo.
You made it known to us.
I did so, and went further, which is now our point of second meeting. Do you find your patience so predominant in your nature that you can let this go? Are you so gospelled to pray for this good man and for his issue, whose heavy hand hath bowed you to the grave and beggared yours forever?
Once again, you notice Macbeth is acting a lot like his wife did earlier. He's asking them, are you going to put up with this? Are you going to be men and deal with this? He's using a lot of the same techniques Lady Macbeth was using in Act 1.
We are men, my liege.
In the catalogue you go for men as hounds and greyhounds, mongrels, spaniels, curs, choughs, water rugs, and demi-wolves are clept all by the name of dogs. The valued file distinguishes the swift, the slow, the subtle, the housekeeper, the hunter, every one according to the gift which bounteous nature hath in him closed, whereby he does receive particular addition from the bill that writes them all alike, and so of men. Now, if you have a station in the file not in the worst rank of manhood, say it, and I will put that business in your bosoms, whose execution takes your enemy off, grapples you to the heart and love of us, who wear our health but sickly in his life, which in his death perfect.
I am one, my liege, whom the vile blows and buffets of the world have so incensed that I am reckless what I do to spite the world.
Oh.
And I another, so weary with disasters, tugged with fortune, that I would set my life on any chance to mend it or be rid of.
Both of you know Banquo was your enemy.
True, my lord.
So is he mine. And in such bloody distance that every minute of his being thrusts against my nearest of life. And though I could, with barefaced power, sweep him from my sight and bid my will avouch it, yet I must not, for certain friends that are both his and mine, whose loves I may not drop, but wail his fall, I myself struck down. And thence it is that I to your assistance do make love, masking the business from the common eye for sundry weighty reasons.
So in this scene, Macbeth tells the murderers the reason he isn't killing Banquo, which of course he could as the king, is because he has mutual friends, and he doesn't want to make them upset. He'd rather somebody else kill Banquo, and then he can pretend to be sad. Very similar to what Lady Macbeth was saying in Act 1, how she wouldn't kill Duncan because he looked too much like her father. Perhaps Macbeth is telling the truth, but, well, odds are he's just too afraid to do the act himself, especially killing his friend.
We shall, my lord, perform what you command us.
For our lives.
Your spirits shine through you. When in this hour at most I will advise you where to plant yourselves, acquaint you with the perfect spire, the time, the moment on't, for it must be done tonight, and something from the palace. Always thought that I require a clearness, and with him, to leave no rubs nor botches in the work, Fleance, his son that keeps him company, whose absence is no less material to me than is his father's, must embrace the fate of that dark hour. Resolve yourselves apart. I'll come to you anon.
We are resolved, my lord.
Aye.
I'll call upon you straight. Abide within. It is concluded. Banquo, thy soul's flight, if it find heaven, must find it out tonight.
So that is scene one, and you'll notice how quickly the relationship between Banquo and Macbeth has come apart. The beginning and end of the scene starts with the two of them talking to each other when they're not there. They no longer trust each other. Let's move on to scene two. Alright, so now we're on Act 3, Scene 2. The plan has been set into motion, and the great dinner that was spoken of before is about to be put into place. So here we go. Act 3, Scene 2.
Is Banquo gone from court?
Aye, madam, but returns again tonight.
Do you say to the king, I would attend his leisure for a few words?
Madam, I will.
Notes had all spent. Where our desire is got without content, 'tis safer to be that which we destroy than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy. Oh no, my lord. Why do you keep alone of sorriest fancies your companions making, using those thoughts which should indeed have died with them they think on? Things without all remedy should be without regard. What's done is done.
We've scorched the snake, not killed it. She'll close and be herself, whilst our poor Malice remains in danger of her former tooth. But let the frame of things disjoint, both the worlds suffer, ere we will eat our meal in fear, and sleep in the affliction of these terrible dreams that shake us nightly. Better be with the dead, whom we to gain our peace have sent to peace, than on the torture of the mind to lie in restless ecstasy. Duncan is in his grave. After life's fitful fever he sleeps well. Treason has done his worst, nor steel, nor poison, malice domestic, foreign levy, nothing can touch him further.
It's interesting in these scenes, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are jealous of Duncan because he is at peace, he is sleeping, he is able to find contentment, and yet they are not, even though they have what they want. It's interesting that Lady Macbeth is starting to feel this way. Macbeth has felt this way the entire time. You'll also notice how Macbeth is now the one that is persuading people to commit these murders, whereas before it was Lady Macbeth. We'll see where this goes.
Come on. Gentle, my lord. Sleek o'er your rugged looks. Be bright and jovial among your guests tonight.
So shall I, love, and so I pray be you. Let your remembrance apply to Banquo. Present him eminence, both with eye and tongue. Unsafe the while that we must lave our honours in these flattering streams, and make our faces vizards to our hearts, disguising what they are.
Must leave this.
Full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. Thou know'st that Banquo and his Fleance lives.
But in them nature's copies not etern.
There's comfort yet, they are assailable. Then be thou jocund. Ere the bat hath flown his cloistered flight, ere to black Hecate summons the shard-born beetle with his drowsy hums hath rung night's yawning peal, there shall be done a deed of dreadful note.
What's to be done?
Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed. Come, sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day, and with thy bloody and invisible hand cancel and tear to pieces that great bond which keeps me pale. Light thickens, and the crow makes wing to the rooky wood. Good things of day begin to droop and drowse, whiles night's black agents to their praise do rouse. Thou marvelst at my words, but hold thee still. Things bad begun make strong themselves by ill.
Oh.
So. Prithee go with me.
I think the biggest thing you want to notice from this scene is the fact that Macbeth does not tell his wife about his plan. It's clear that he is now the one that is in the stronger position. He is now the one that is more driven. And she is shrinking back from it. She is shocked and amazed. Let's move on to scene 3.
But who did bid thee join with us?
Macbeth. He needs not our mistrust, since he delivers our officers on what we have to do to the direction just.
Then stand with us. The west yet glimmers with some streaks of day. Now spurs the lated traveller apace to gain the timely inn, and near approaches the subject of our watch.
Hark, I hear horses.
Give us a light there. Oh!
Then 'tis he. The rest that are within the note of expectation already are i' the court.
His horses go about.
Almost a mile, but he does usually. So all men do from hence to the palace gate make it their walk.
A light. A light.
'Tis he.
Stand to it.
It will be rain tonight.
Let it come down!
Oh, treachery! Fly! Good flames! Fly! 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 Thou mayst revenge! Oh! Slave!
Who did strike out the light?
'Twas not the way.
There's but one down. The sun is fled.
We have lost best half of our affair.
Well, let's away and see how much is done.
Let's pause there. Just want to bring up this last comment here. Compare the murder of Banquo to the murder of Duncan. Which is more dramatically effective? Why do you think Shakespeare decided to have Duncan's murder off-screen, whereas Banquo's murder happens in front of you? Which one is more powerful? I guess that's up to you. There's really no wrong answer, but you may feel that one was different than the other. Okay, well, let's move on then to Act 3, Scene 4. The murderers have killed Banquo. The sun has escaped. Let's see how Macbeth reacts.
You know your own degrees. Sit down. At first and last, the hearty welcome.
Thanks, Your Majesty.
Thanks, Your Majesty. Our self will mingle with society and play the humble host. Our hostess keeps her state, but in best time we will require her welcome.
Pronounce it for me, sir. To all our friends, from my heart speaks, they are welcome.
See, they encounter thee with their heart's thanks. Both sides are even. Here I'll sit in the midst. Be large in mirth. Anon, we'll drink a measure the table round. There's blood upon thy face.
'Tis Banquo's, then.
'Tis better thee without than he within. Is he dispatched?
My lord, his throat is cut. That I did for him.
Thou'rt the best of the cutthroats. Yet he's good that did the like for Flounce. If thou didst it, thou art the nonpareil.
Most royal sir, Fleance escaped.
Then comes my fate again. I had else been perfect, whole as the marble, founded as the rock, as broad and general as the casing air, but now I am cabined, cribbed, confined, bound in to saucy doubts and fears. But Banquo's safe.
Aye, my good lord. Safe in a ditch he bides, with 20 trenchant gashes on his head, the least a death to nature.
Thanks for that. There the grown serpent lies, the worm that's fled hath nature that in time will venom breed, no teeth for the present. Get thee gone.
Tomorrow we'll hear ourselves again.
My royal lord, You do not give the cheer. The feast is sold. That is not often vouched while 'tis a making. 'Tis given with welcome. To feed were best at home. From thence the sauce to meat is ceremony. Meeting were bare without it.
Sweet remembrancer. Now, good digestion, weight on appetite, and health on both.
May it please your highness.
Here had we now our country's honour roofed. Were the graced person of our Banquo present, whom may I rather challenge for unkindness than pity for mischance.
His absence, sir, lays blame upon his promise.
Yeah.
Please, your highness, to grace us with your royal company.
Table's full.
Here is a place reserved, sir.
Where?
Here, my good lord. What is that moves, your highness?
Which of you done this?
What, my good lord?
Thou canst not say I did it. Never shake thy gory locks at me.
Gentlemen, rise. His highness is not well.
Sit, worthy friends, mine lord is often thus, and hath been from his youth. Pray you, keep a seat. The fit is momentary. Upon a thought he will again be well. If much you note him, you shall offend him, and extend his passion. Feed, and regard him not. You, a man.
Aye, and a bold one, that dare look on that which might appall the devil.
Take a moment and look at those comments. They do a nice job of explaining how gender, once again, is a common theme throughout the story. Also, you'll notice that the ghost is only seen by Macbeth. Lady Macbeth is covering for him, and the rest of the guests are genuinely confused. They have no idea what's going on. The seat would have been seen as empty to them. Different versions of this play do it differently. Some people have a ghost Banquo character come out, and others simply, you have to use your imagination. Sort of raises a good question, is the ghost real? Is he a manifestation that the witches create, or is he just a figment of Macbeth's imagination?
Oh, proper stuff. This is the very painting of your fear. This is the air-drawn dagger which you said led you to Duncan. All these flaws and starts, impostors to true fear, would well become a woman's story at a winter's fire, authorized by her grandam. Shame itself. Why do you make such faces? When all's done, you look but on a stool. Prithee, see there. Behold. Look. Lo. How say you?
Why, what care I? If thou canst nod, speak too. If charnel houses and our graves must send those that we bury back, our monuments shall be the moors of kites.
What? Quite unmanned in folly.
If I stand here, I saw him.
Fie! For shame!
Blood hath been shed ere now, in the olden time, ere humane statute purged the gentle wheel. Aye, and since, too, murders have been performed, too terrible for the ear. The time has been that when the brains were out, the man would die, and there an end. But now they rise again, with 20 mortal murders on their crowns, and push us from our stools. This is more strange than such a murder is.
My worthy lord, your noble friends do lack you.
I do forget. Do not muse at me, my most worthy friends. I have a strange infirmity, which is nothing to those that know me. Come, love and health to all, then I'll sit down. Give me some wine, full. I drink to the general joy of the whole table, and to our dear friend Banquo, whom we miss. Would he were here. To all, and him we thirst, and all to all.
Our duties and the play. Our duties and the play.
It's important to remember at this point that only Macbeth is aware that Banquo is dead. Everybody else thinks he's just late or decided not to come. This makes the fact that Macbeth refers to murders and murderers a little suspicious.
Avert! Quit thy sight! Let the earth hide thee! Thy bones are marrowless, thy blood is cold. Thou hast no speculation in those eyes which thou dost glare with.
Think of this, good Piers. But as a thing of custom, 'tis no other, only it spoils the pleasure of the time.
What man dare? I dare. Approach thou like the rugged Russian bear, the armed rhinoceros, or the Irken tiger. Take any shape but that, and my firm nerves shall never tremble. Or be alive again, and dare me to the desert with thy sword, if trembling I inhabit then. Protest me the baby of a girl. Hence, horrible shadow! Unreal mockery! Hence!
Why, sir, being gone, I am a man again. Pray, sit still.
You have displaced the mirth, broke the good meeting with most admired disorder.
Can such things be, and overcome us like a summer's cloud, without our special wonder? You make me strange, even to the disposition that I owe, when now I think you can behold such sights, and keep the natural ruby of your cheeks, when mine is blanched with fear.
What sights, my lord?
I pray you, speak not. He grows worse and worse. Question enrages him. At once, good night. Stand not upon the order of your going, but go at once.
Good night, and better health attend His Majesty.
A kind good night to all.
It will have blood, they say. Blood will have blood. Stones have been known to move, and trees to speak. Augurs and understood relations have, by maggot pies and choughs and rooks, brought forth the secret'st man of blood.
What's the night?
Almost at odds with morning. Which is which?
What say'st thou? That Macduff denies his person at our great bidding.
Did you send to him, sir?
I hear it, by the way, but I will send. There's not a one of them but in his house I keep a servant to feed. I will tomorrow. And betimes I will to the weird sisters. More shall they speak. For now I am bent to know, by the worst means, the worst. For mine own good, all causes shall give way. I am in blood stepped in so far, that should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go o'er. Strange things I have in head that will to hand, which must be acted, ere they may be scanned.
You lack the season of all natures. Sleep.
Come, we'll to sleep. My strange and self-abuse is the initiate fear that wants hard use. We are yet but young, indeed.
So this scene is basically the climax to the entire story. We have Macbeth has finally changed and grown extremely guilty and paranoid. We've seen him shift from the beginning of the scene to the end. He's willing to do whatever it takes. He's now after Macduff for not showing up at his feast. And from here on, Macbeth's tragic flaw will be one of paranoia, fear, desire for power. So we have 2 more scenes left in Act 3. Here we go. Okay, so here we go with the last 2 scenes of Act 3. Now, this next one is often cut, especially for movie versions. In this one, the witches contact their superior, Hecate, about what they have done, and Hecate, sort of a difficult character to stage. sort of a supernatural creature. So this may be one of the only times you see this scene. Here we go, scene 5.
Why, how now, Hecate? You look angrily.
Have I not reason, beldams as you are, saucy and overbold? How did you dare to trade and traffic with Macbeth in riddles and affairs of death? And I, the mistress of your charms, the close contriver of all harms, was never called to bear my part, or show the glory of our art. And which is worse, all you have done hath been but for a wayward son, spiteful and wrathful, who, as others do, loves for his own ends, not for you. But make amends now. Get you gone, and at the pit of Acheron meet me i' the morning. Thither he will come to know his destiny. Your vessels and your spells provide, your charms and everything beside. I am for the air. This night I'll spend unto a dismal and a fatal end. Great business must be wrought ere noon. Upon the corner of the moon there hangs a vaporous drop profound. I'll catch it ere it comes to ground, and that distilled by magic sleights shall raise such artificial sprites as by the strength of their illusion shall draw him on to his confusion. He shall spurn fate, scorn death, and bear his hopes above wisdom, grace, and fear. And you all know security is mortal's chiefest enemy. Hark! I am called. My little spirit, see, sits in foggy cloud and stays for me.
Come, let's make haste. She'll soon be back again.
So a couple interesting points here. You'll notice that they say what's going to happen next. The witches will meet with Macbeth in Act 4, and they will perform charms and sprites and spells, or whatever word they want to use. But Hecate has an interesting line. Take a look at the text. She says, "Security is mortal's chiefest enemy." Well, what does that mean? If you're secure, you would think that would be a good thing, but what ways could security be a negative thing? Another thing to think about, what is the purpose of this scene? Where does it fit in the dramatic scheme of things? Do we need to hear from Hecate, or is this just to satisfy the audience, which demands more witchiness? Again, I didn't come up with this question, but I think it's an interesting one to think about. So, one more scene to go in Act 3. Let's get started. In this scene, we have Lennox and another lord who is not given a name speaking. What they have here is an example of exposition, characters thinking and talking about what's happening. So what this does is it sort of explains what is going on in the world without actually having to show it. Remember, Shakespeare didn't have a huge budget when putting these stages on and couldn't afford lots of extras, so they needed other actors to fill in the gaps. So let's see what happens.
My former speeches have but hit your thoughts, which can interpret further. Only I say, things have been strangely born. The gracious Duncan was pitied of Macbeth. Marry, he was dead. And the right valiant Banquo walked too late, whom you may say, if it please you, Fleance killed. For Fleance fled. Men must not walk too late.
It's interesting what he's saying here is the reason that Banquo and the reason that Duncan are dead is because they walked too late. Of course, that's ridiculous. Also, the idea that these men would both be killed by their children in such a short amount of time is a little suspicious. So, not everyone is buying this. Macbeth certainly isn't fooling everybody.
Who cannot want the thought how monstrous it was for Malcolm and for Donalbain to kill their gracious father? Damned fact! How it did grieve Macbeth. Did he not straight in pious rage the two delinquents tear that were the slaves of drink and thralls of sleep? Was not that nobly done? Aye, and wisely too, for 'twould have angered any heart alive to hear the men deny it. So that I say, he has borne all things well. And I do think that had he Duncan's sons under his key, as, and please heaven he shall not, they should find what 'twere to kill a father, so should Fleance. But peace. For from broad words, and 'cause he failed his presence at the tyrant's feast, I hear Macduff lives in disgrace. Sir, can you tell where he bestows himself?
The son of Duncan, from whom this tyrant holds the due of birth, lives in the English court, and is received of the most pious Edward with such grace that the malevolence of fortune nothing takes from his high respect. Thither Macduff is gone to pray the holy king upon his aid to wake Northumberland and warlike seaward, that by the help of these, with him above to ratify the work, we may again give to our tables meat, sleep to our nights, free from our feasts and banquets bloody knives, do faithful homage and receive free honours, all which we pine for now. And this report hath so exasperate their king that he prepares for some attempt of war.
Sent he to Macduff?
He did, and with an absolute, "Sir, not I," the cloudy messenger turns me his back and hums, as who should say, "You'll rue the time," that clogs me with this answer.
And that well might advise him to a caution, to hold what distance his wisdom can provide. Some holy angel fly to the court of England and unfold his message ere he come, that a swift blessing may soon return to this our suffering country. Under a hand accursed.
I'll send my prayers with him.
So again, this scene really doesn't have much that happens in it, but we do learn a lot about what else is happening. Malcolm, we know, has gone, and so has Macduff. Both people are seeking help from foreign powers in order to bring war to Scotland and return the true right of kings. And so this ends Act 3, which sets up two things. Number one, Act 4, we know that Macbeth is going to meet with the Weird Sisters, and they have some plan prepared for him. And we also know that a war is coming, which will likely happen in Act 5. So with this, we're prepared for the rest of the play. Thanks for watching Act 3. If you'd like to continue with the play, just click below and continue with Act 4. And again, if you feel like you missed anything, if you're confused, the best thing you can do is rewatch it. Take a look at all of those notes in the margins. They'll answer most questions for you. Well, have a great day.